Popcorn Junkies. Sing it.
Hakuna Matata, it's a wonderful thing.
Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata, wow.
What's that?
That's the Lion Cubs rule.
Oh, right. God, look at you. Hakuna Matata. Okay, so obviously we're reviewing The Lion King. Jon Favreau is the director of Iron Man, the first film, director of Jungle Book.
And he's happy.
Oh, and he's happy, in Spider-Man. Yeah, he plays a lot of roles in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And he's also responsible for the new Star Wars series, The Mandalorian.
He's a big deal, actually,
he's a
Jon Favreau.
massive deal. He's been handed probably the keys by Disney this year to two of the most valuable assets they have, which is The Lion King and The Mandalorian, which is the Star Wars spin-off series for the Disney Plus channel. You know what got Jon Favreau into filmmaking?
No.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh.
So this is starring the voiceover talents of Donald Glover, Beyoncé, James Earl Jones. He was the original father in the original Lion King, and of course is also the voice of Darth Vader.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Chiwetel Ejiofor. Say that again.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
I just love that name.
Billy Eichner plays Timon, the little what do they call it, meerkat.
Oh.
And Seth Rogen playing Pumbaa. The Lion King occupied a big place. Well, it does in most families' hearts, really. It was the film that I used to watch all the time with Izzy, and every one of you girls, I've watched it again and again with all of you. And in a weird way, Elton John does the music. You know, the songs and the storyline is a very familiar storyline, although it's not at all familiar to you, is it, Mum? Are you a Lion King fan?
No, I don't know the story at all.
I thought there were songs all over it.
I did.
And actually, there were 3 or 4 very symbolic, very important songs.
Thank goodness, because I don't like musicals.
Were you excited about seeing this film?
No, not really.
So Kiki, were you excited? Well, I can't remember when we saw the trailer. We were kind of excited about this one. Oh, you weren't excited at all?
I was not excited at all about seeing this.
Was I excited as a sad adult wanting to relive
Maddie was
something?
excited.
Maddie was.
I thought that the lion cub did look lovely, so I was kind of excited about that. And I like Jon Favreau. If I'm really honest, though, I was excited about the prospect of The Lion King being made, but I wasn't excited having not enjoyed Jungle Book. I thought this was going to be a soulless enterprise of CGI. And although it keeps being called live action, because there's no humans in it, I was a bit curious to know what they meant by live action, because clearly every animal in the trailer and every animal in this film has been CGI'd to death in all its movements.
So what do they mean?
Well, I guess they mean that they've parked them in real locations. I mean, a lot of the location footage looked real, and I think maybe they were CGIing animals within that, and they were using the sort of bodies, if you like, of real animals to then animate. So it was a different kind of CGI, I guess you would say. The story, everyone knows the story. If you don't know the story, you must have been hiding under a rock like a dung beetle.
Me? Because I didn't know. I don't know how.
But you found an interesting parallel with the story, didn't you?
Hamlet.
It's like Hamlet. It's almost identical to Hamlet. Brother comes in, takes the throne. Hamlet is ostracised. Hamlet comes back. He falls in love with Ophelia. Gertrude and the brother almost get together. Almost, it's kind of shaped. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in the form of Timon and Pumbaa. So it's almost a kind of rehash of Shakespeare. So at least you had something to grab onto.
Oh, I did.
Yeah, it took her a while to get it.
Yeah, but I loved it from the beginning because I loved the little lion.
Oh. Okay, well, Kiki, talk to us about the first 15 to 20 minutes. What did you think of that?
I hated the first.
You did, didn't you? Why?
I didn't realise this one was a musical, so when they started singing, I was kind of shocked, and I found it so cringe.
Oh, right, okay.
And the Simba's, when he was like a cub, his voice was so annoying.
You did lean over and say, "Oh, it's one of those irritating child voices."
Yeah. It was got like really irritating child voices for these characters. So annoying.
I must admit, I did find the child voice slightly wearing.
Yes, I did too.
Did you? But I have to say, I found the first 20 minutes too long. I thought they set up the setup.
Maybe. Yeah.
And yet, in a weird way, I suppose they're building to what's always and was in the original, and I think they succeeded in this, a very arresting moment, which is when Simba's dad is framed and dies under the herd.
Yes.
I thought that was very powerfully done.
It was amazing, I thought.
Yeah.
I found it sounds weird, but I found the original one sadder because...
Did you?
Because I know that obviously the cartoon isn't really film. Yeah. But like, I didn't really like feel sorry for Simba or anything. I didn't know why.
Do you feel that in the original animation, because that sort of animation, the old-fashioned animation, puts lots of sort of cartoony emotion, but human emotion into them. You feel more for them slightly.
Yeah.
They couldn't put as much emotion into these animals because they were sort of slavishly attached to what an animal looks like. Did you think that was
they
a
did
bit
it with their eyes, didn't they?
They did do it and I thought they did it really well.
Yeah, I did.
But I suppose you can't have them behaving cartoonly.
No.
Can you? And I suppose in a sense you're right. So you felt in the original film you had more of a connection. Yeah, I get that. It's funny, I thought both the limitation of what they were trying to do was also the liberation in a sense, because it sounds really odd. If you could authentically see a savannah or hear a savannah of animals talk, this was the most convincing way to do it.
Okay, yeah.
What did you think the first 15, 20 minutes?
I liked it.
Did you think, oh, good? Because in those first 15 minutes, one generally sits there going, oh shit, I'm here for the duration.
No, maybe very, very slightly.
Very slightly. What did you think of the location and the setting up of the King's Kingdom, Mufasa's kingdom?
I quite like that.
I found all the script a little bit cliched and a little bit shaky.
There wasn't much script there.
Well, no, but there were moments like when Mufasa was showing him the stars and you go, look up there, and then you go to the child and you go, Simba, and you go, yes, and then you go. I thought it was a bit laboured. I thought the first 20 minutes was a bit boring.
I was seeing it through the eyes of a child. I thought it was.
But as soon as Mufasa was killed, I thought the thing got going. What did you think of the bird, Zazu?
The bird was the only thing that irritated me.
Did it? I thought it was Hugh Laurie, but it wasn't. It was John Oliver.
I realised it was necessary as the
Yes.
Yeah, he's meant to be like the clumsy annoying.
I think it was Rowan Atkinson, was it, who played it in the original film? I'm not too sure. I seem to remember finding him quite entertaining in the first film. I didn't
remember his character.
I think they dropped the ball a bit with him. He was just annoying.
I liked him at the beginning when he was like, something is approaching. Oh wait, no, that's.
Yeah. I liked his little updates, his news updates as well. I thought that was quite cute. So you've got Mufasa, you've got the Pride. Obviously, they've established Scar. What did we think of Scar, played by Chiwetel Ejiofor?
I love Scar from the moment I saw him.
I thought Scar was brilliantly drawn.
I did.
Although he wasn't drawn.
And brilliantly drawn.
Yeah, he wasn't drawn though, Mum.
No, but...
You know what I mean? What did you think of Scar? Did you think the villain was a good villain?
Yeah.
Though I must admit, every now and then I was thinking, I think I'd have preferred Jeremy Irons' voice.
I wanted his voice more raspy.
I wanted his voice more raspy. I thought he could have been even more malevolent.
I thought
it was really clear.
It was clear, and I thought it was good that he wasn't more malevolent.
Really?
Yeah, because you didn't.
Otherwise, you'd think you're bloody malevolent.
If you didn't know the story as well as clearly everybody in the world does except me, you would have thought that he was a sort of nice, benevolent uncle, but certainly that he wasn't as.
Well, and I think it's also key in those first scenes that they play Scar's performances. He's an odd outcast of an uncle. God, sounds familiar.
Somebody says every family.
Someone says, "Go and see your uncle." It's very true. Every family has got a very odd uncle who lives in a cave with a scarf. Hey,
it's getting weird.
It is getting weird. You've got an uncle who's like that too. Yes, you're right. So you felt that you had to believe through Simba's eyes that he was saying stuff that you could possibly trust or believe.
I'm so sorry.
So you've got the giggles thinking of what?
Thinking of all our uncles in sheds all over the place being weird. I'm so sorry.
Very odd uncles everywhere.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
It's such a weird laugh.
Took my breath away. I'm so sorry.
Took my breath away. Which, by the way, is sung by Berlin, not Celine Dion. No, that wasn't in it, Mum. Don't worry, you were in the same film. She's very easy to bamboozle and confuse. What did you think of Tom Cruise?
Well, no, I didn't like it at all.
I was captivated with the micro detail they put into the into whatever it is, the CGI animation.
Yeah.
Didn't you think the sort of him running for the the butterflies and the insects and all that? I thought it was meticulously, beautifully crafted, really beautifully crafted, to the point that even though it's not real, you're looking at it going, who's done this?
I know.
Quite fun. And I know Jon Favreau's pushed the technology to the very limits on this film to get that look and to get that feel.
And with the faces of the cubs and everything when they sneeze or when they,
and I thought they did a really good job of maintaining the authentic movement. So like they talk and you'd have the human emotion, and weirdly later, Beyonce's voice come out, but the twitch of the ears would be very real.
Yeah, if they were. I was thinking when they twitch the ears, it really put more emotion.
It put more emotion into it, and that was a very skillful thing to stay true to the authenticity of an animal, and at the same time use those things to characterise them. It's
I thought
tricky.
somebody's had dogs or they've had their own pets, and they've noticed that those are the things that give them characters.
Because I was worried at times, going back to what you said, Kiki, that putting a voice in the face of something that looks so like a real animal can sometimes jar, whereas putting a voice in a cartoon animal really works. You expect that, like Robin Williams as the genie. Do you know what I mean? But in an animal, sometimes it's. But I didn't think it did. I thought so. That first 20 minutes minutes felt like they were spending time getting us used to it working.
Yes.
And I think it did work. Yeah. Then, of course, the crunch point comes where Mufasa dies.
Which is a brilliant scene.
I thought it was a fabulous scene. And it had all the impact that I thought the original had. Did you not think?
No. I don't know what, something I didn't really like about it. Like, I didn't find it emotional at all.
Did you not? No, it wasn't as...
I found it a bit cringe.
Did you?
Did you?
What?
The way he screams when he falls.
Well, maybe this is going back to the scream of the... Oh, the scream of who? Mufasa?
Yeah, and he's like... Whoa!
Oh, right,
and you scream though, weren't you?
No, not for a lion.
No, true, you'd roar.
Yeah, you'd roar.
Oh, right. We'll have to go back. Tell us, does his scream sound a bit pathetic? So Scar takes over the kingdom. Simba is sent...
With the help of the hyenas. Don't forget
now hang on a minute. I could have done with more of the hyenas.
They're the baddies.
What did we think of the hyenas?
Yeah, they were actually funny.
They were funny. The two main
hyenas,
ones.
Yeah.
I love there's one hyena that has no sense of bodily space and keeps impinging. I thought that was so funny that they could have rinsed it a little bit more.
Yeah. Because they only had 2 scenes.
Yeah, they only had 2 scenes, and he kept stepping too near, and I just thought, oh, come on, you could have really kept repeating that. Yeah. So I thought they let go of that, and I think that almost, in a sense, is one of my only criticisms of the whole film. When it had something that was really good, like Timon and Pumbaa, I mean, I suppose the art of any film is to leave you wanting more, but I actually felt they'd had a lot of bagginess at the front, and we could have had more fun with those characters further down the way.
It would be fine for people like me that didn't know anything about the setup of it at all, but maybe for people who knew, it'd be too long in the beginning. But the hyenas were great, and I mean, so evil. I mean, why did we all
they were so malevolent and evil.
Yeah, I hate hyenas.
No one likes hyenas,
no,
Mum.
they don't.
God. Since when have you been a hyena lover?
I'm very near the edge of it.
I'm on the edge. I'm over the edge, like Mufasa. What's that strange squeaky sound, Mum? What's the strange squeaky sound coming out of you? But that's what hyenas do.
They do.
Don't smoke, kids.
They're scavengers.
I don't know what's so funny, but it's very funny. The film plows on, and then of course at the point that Simba's been sent and exiled from the kingdom, that's when they go to this lovely sort of other land where they bump into Timon and Pumbaa. Now, Timon and Pumbaa. Did the names mean anything to you?
Yes, I've seen them countless times. They look just the same.
Oh, right, from the original. Yeah, walking on.
I thought they were amazing.
Well, and I was really worried because I saw them in the trailer. I thought, okay, they could be good. And they're kind of the indulgence, aren't they, in the first one, the guilty pleasure. I thought, well, they've got to get them right. And I think they did.
They did.
Yeah. So I thought they were a really indulgent pleasure. And again, I kind of wanted more. I thought the relationship between Simba and Timon and Pumbaa was really nicely drawn. Yes. And of course, at the point that Simba, they do that lovely transitional scene, don't they, where they're walking.
Yeah.
And Simba gets older.
Yeah,
and then
they take Simba. They become his friends.
They become his friends, exactly. And who does Simba then become? Childish Gambino.
Yes.
And what did we think about that? Because come on, kids, you're an enormous
I
Childish.
would easily just marry him. Like, he's perfect.
He is perfect, isn't he?
Perfect.
He's sort of...
There's nothing wrong with him.
No, and his voice, we thought, perfectly suited the teenage Simba, didn't it?
Yeah,
it was nice. What did you say? He wasn't trying too hard. I liked what you said as we came out of the cinema. He wasn't trying to be overly emotional.
No.
He was quite cool and just sort of ordinary and didn't overcook. Because the problem with all these sorts of
movies...
He
could come over as portentous and he didn't.
Exactly. And you could also come over as trying to rinse the emotions a bit too much. What's the name of Nala, the Snarler?
Don't forget Nala.
Well, Nala the Snarler, of course.
Nala got on my nerves a bit.
I find Nala a bit annoying. Yeah, why is that?
It's good that she was like...
Beyonce.
Yeah, and it's good that she was like powerful and stuff, but when they're like that, they're really annoying and they don't shut up about it. When they make like the women characters don't shut up about being brave and stuff.
Right.
It's good.
It's like
it just gets annoying.
Do you feel they're almost overcompensating and ramming the idea that she's...
I laugh in the... No, he says...
Yes.
I laugh in the face.
I
laugh in the face of
danger.
Yeah, I thought Beyonce was quite good. I thought I was worried she was going to verge into the territory of overselling it. You know?
I know everyone's going to hate me, but I really didn't like Beyonce's character.
Did you not? Okay.
When Beyonce's voice came in, I didn't like it.
And I really like the fact that they kept the old songs,
Yeah.
with one major exception.
Elton John.
Why didn't they keep Elton John singing?
Elton John?
Yeah,
I see
it was
Elton John
Beyonce and Childish
singing,
Gambino. Now, I thought it was a good version, but I prefer Elton John's. I love the little journeys off, like the origin story of Timon and Pumbaa,
Yeah.
you know, and him farting in the water.
Yes.
And I love them all lying under the stars and sleeping together and stuff like that. I could have just done with more of that. I wanted more and more. I mean, it's very loyal to the original story, and sometimes I felt like they were staying a bit too rigidly loyal to the original story, and they could have we could have had a bit more fun at times.
Yeah. Why didn't he go back home though? I did wonder when everybody was saying to him, why didn't you try to get home? But why didn't he? Because of his two new friends.
What's his name?
Scar.
Convinced
him to go. Well, I think Scar.
I know he convinced him to go, but why did you say
Yeah. You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's a film about grooming. Scar groomed him into really genuinely believing he'd killed his father and was responsible.
Yes,
and
that's why he couldn't go back. Yeah.
I thought that was quite a sophisticated additional theme to add to it. Actually, you felt them feeling that was maybe a bit.
Don't look at each other.
It's very hard when we're all looking at each other. I think it's interesting that you should home in on that as a potential plot hole, though, because I noticed when they were on the top of Pride Rock and Scar and it was all kicking off right at the end, did you notice how they had to actually, a bit like with Killing Eve, put the script into their mouths? Why didn't you come back? Oh, that's why I didn't come back. Because I thought he said, he said, and then they had to get around that thing of Scar revealing it. Yeah. I thought that was clumsily dealt with, but I think it is clumsily dealt with in the original as well.
Because when he says it to the
he's whispering it.
You think, have we got a microphone or something? How's this going to be useful?
No, absolutely. I mean, it's your word against his.
Exactly.
You're not in a good position. You're hanging off. Just let him go. Yeah. I like the fact that Simba pulled himself literally from the jaws of death by clutching onto Scar's beard.
I thought that was amazing.
Pulling himself up.
Amazingly inventive.
Amazingly inventive, if not a little desperate.
I think they might have tried that out with puppets, don't you? Well, how are we going to get him up there?
Absolutely. I agree.
My high points were definitely the warthog and the...
Timon and Pumbaa.
Timon and Pumbaa. I liked all the scenes with the hyenas, actually.
Yeah, I did. I could have done with more.
More than the lion pride, I suppose, because the females all
boring.
seem very... They are a bit.
Very boring.
And, go out...
No conversation.
Go out and be a man.
No, I agree. No conversation, no wit.
No, nothing.
No, just sitting around boring.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, I love the actual... the scenes of Africa.
I'm pleased you said that. Yeah, I was going to say, I thought a real shout out needs to go to whoever was responsible for. I presume they'll have shot real life general shots of the landscape, and they'll have then obviously CGI'd them in and treated them and done all sorts of stuff to them. But I thought it was beautifully shot.
It was.
And I thought that sense of the elephant graveyard was really malevolent and horrible.
Now that was much better than I thought. They talked about it, hadn't they? And I thought, it'll look.
And the sign of a good kids film. Let's not forget, this is a kids film.
Yeah.
And the sign of a good kids film, I think, my judgment is whether it makes any children run for the doors like screaming psychos. And it did in this cinema. Yeah, there was a kid behind us that was petrified and ran out and didn't come back. And for me, that's a win.
Yeah.
It's that he didn't come back. But you want to scare the shit out of children.
Yeah,
and I think those first scenes, that first scene where Simba's in danger from the hyenas, they succeeded at that.
Yeah.
Worst elements of it?
The beginning.
The beginning was that, that really was,
I didn't like the last scene as well, that you were just talking about the fight scene. The last
right.
Scene.
I know what you mean.
I thought it was too long, the fight scene. There were too much sort of...
I loved the characterisation of the other animals in the mangrove where he was exiled to. I thought they were all lovely, the creatures. I liked all that.
Oh, I'm going to do that bit where I don't know what creature it was, but it jumps up in slow motion.
Oh my god, that possum or something. It jumps up in slow motion and it just... Bush baby. It was a bush. So there's some, it's one of those films. Really pay attention to those scenes because there are lovely little cutaways. Really indulgent little sequences and characterizations, which you get in animations, but they've taken the effort, I think, with those little moments.
I liked it much more than I thought I would. I don't know how they do the technique, and like you say, I don't know what they mean by. What do they call
CGI
it?
or live action.
It is astonishing.
It is astonishing.
And you almost can't take your eyes off the background because everything's moving. Bits of it were too long, but generally I thought it was great. I enjoyed it far more than I thought I would. And I would give this film 7.5.
Oh, that's a good score.
I still prefer the old film, but this was really good. It was actually really good. The bits that I liked. I didn't like the beginning at all.
No.
The last fight scene. It's funny though. I think there's a lot of humour in it.
There is, isn't there?
I love the looks.
Yeah, they were great.
I I think I liked 2 of the songs, which was the Kuna Matata one.
Yeah. And I thought they did Hakuna Matata because it's such a famous moment from the original. They did it very well. So you felt there was a sense of familiarity and newness with it.
Yeah, I wish they'd done it for a bit longer because it was quite short.
Yeah, I think everything that was good in it, I wish they had done for longer.
Yeah.
I didn't like Nala.
No.
No.
Nala the Snarler.
I liked Simba actually. I just didn't like when he was a baby. I'd recommend it for like, because it's like a big film that everyone has to see.
Yeah.
It's going to be like one of those films that everyone has to
What would you both say? A lot of critics have said it lacks heart.
Oh, yeah.
No. Oh no.
Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm more easily.
I didn't really like feel for the characters that much.
Right.
I really didn't feel for it. I feel bad, but I didn't.
I mean, I found the older Lion dying was really emotional. I mean,
maybe that's because you're closer to dying.
Yeah, maybe. But you had the drama. I thought the drama of that wildebeest thing was
I liked it
astonishing.
actually. I liked it.
So I'm going to give it a 5 because half of it I loved and half of it I hated.
The beginning and the end you weren't a fan of, so Well, and I think you're pretty much closest to what the critics are saying. It's only got 61% on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't good. I was going in expecting it to be heartless and soulless because I thought that was the case with Jungle Book, and Jungle Book was a massive success. And I found it really, I just didn't care. I just didn't care about anything. Interestingly, I did care in this, but not in the most obvious ways. I think if Timon and Pumbaa weren't in it, it would be really dangerous. But that's like saying it's not the Lion King.
Yeah.
The Lion King is Timon and Pumbaa.
Yeah.
I suppose I was concerned. I was a bit nervous for the first half an hour as to when and whether they were going to come in the way that I wanted them to come in.
Yeah.
And when they did arrive, I thought they provided the much needed comedy. So comedy is what I was desperate for. The problem I've always had with The Lion King is it's very worthy around the lions.
Yeah.
Mufasa, the mum, it's just very worthy, and Scar is about the most interesting part of it because he's horrible. I was absolutely mesmerised by the tech. I was mesmerised by the look. I was mesmerised by this almost seemingly impossible task of being animal-like and even more animal-like and yet giving emotion. I mean, it's almost like an impossible curate's egg to solve, but I think Jon Favreau and his technical team have done it. I think those new things they've added to it, like Beyoncé's song, didn't add anything. I missed Elton John. I thought The Bird was a disappointment. Timon and Pumbaa absolutely nailed it for me. So I'd probably give this film, I'd probably give it 6.5 out of 10.
Oh, I gave it the highest.
Do you think it's preferable to the first? Would you suggest see this one or the first one?
I would see the first one.
You'd see the first one. I'd say for today's generation, as I came out, I thought that was a really nice version for this generation.
Okay.
I don't think anyone should be worried that if this generation takes this Lion King under its wing like other generations took the other one, it's no bad thing. This is about as well rendered a version of it as you could make, I think.
Yeah.
For more film and family fun, don't forget to click the subscribe button and make sure to click the bell to never miss an update.